What do you know about the Salyut-6 UFO mystery? Stay right here to hear more about this Soviet-era UFO incident. This is My Dark Path, where I explore the fringes of history, science, and the paranormal. Georgie Beregovoy was born on April 15, 1921, in the Poltava region of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. He came from humble beginnings, the son of Ukrainian peasants. The vast countryside of his homeland in the starry nights might have been the early catalyst of his interests in space, stirring a sense of scientific wonder in the young boy. Georgie's early years reflected the tumultuous times he lived in, but they also gave a glimpse into the man that he would become. As a child, Georgie was curious and displayed an adventurous streak, often surprising his family with his fearlessness. Stories from his childhood include tales of him climbing trees to get a better view of the horizon or wading through rivers, indicating his innate drive to explore and understand the world about him. But alongside these tales of childhood adventures, young Georgie also showed an early inclination toward discipline and diligence, traits that would later play a pivotal role in his space endeavors. Georgie might have stayed out of the war as Nazi Germany and the USSR signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, also known as the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, on August 23, 1939. This agreement pledged that the two countries would not attack each other and also included a secret protocol dividing Eastern Europe into spheres of influence between the two powers. But he joined the Red Army in 1941 when Germany invaded the USSR on June 22nd. Georgie became a decorated fighter pilot, displaying exceptional skill and courage during many of the critical battles on the Eastern Front. His journey to space began when he was selected for the Soviet space program in 1962. He was a part of the second group of cosmonauts selected, a unique feat considering he was already in his 40s at the time, much older than most of his contemporaries in the program. This age factor made his achievements even more remarkable. In 1968, his dream of space travel was realized when he piloted the Soyuz 3 mission. During this mission, he conducted a series of orbital maneuvers around Soyuz 2, an unmanned spacecraft. After his journey into space, Georgie held various administrative positions in the Soviet space program, helping shape the future of space exploration in the Soviet Union. He retired in 1991 and then passed away in 1995, but his legacy as one of the pioneering figures in human spaceflight lives on. In addition to Georgie's meaningful career as a cosmonaut, he is best known in UFO circles for bringing the Salyut-6 mystery to the attention of the Soviet and Russian people and the rest of the world. So here's that story. When the Soviet spaceship Soyuz T-4 was launched into orbit on March 12, 1981, Georgie was now Lieutenant General Beregovoy. He led all of the training programs for Soviet cosmonauts based at the Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center between 1972 and 1987. This particular Soyuz mission was led by Commander Vladimir Kovnilok and flight engineer Viktor Savinik. A day after launch on March 13, 1981, the spacecraft docked successfully with Salyut-6, the second generation of Soviet space platforms. This one launched on September 29, 1977. Unlike the earlier Salyut space station, Salyut-6 was designed to host crews for extended stays, allowing for a greater range of scientific experiments and observations. Another advancement of Salyut-6 was its design that featured two docking ports. This was a major advancement as it allowed a resident crew to be on the station even when a new supply or crewed mission arrived. The additional port also facilitated the docking of uncrewed Progress cargo spacecraft, which supplied provisions, fuel, and equipment. It was initially intended to operate for just 3 years, but Salyut-6 exceeded expectations by being operational for almost 5 years. It was inhabited for a total of 684 days by cosmonaut crews during its lifetime and was visited by 16 Soyuz spacecraft and 14 uncrewed Progress resupply ships. The Salyut scientific program was designed by Professor A.I. Lazarev. Now, aboard the Salyut-6, Kovnikov and Savanik were assigned the responsibility of confirming unusual findings brought back by the watch crews of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th expeditions. Crews aboard the Salyut-6 had reported many odd incidents that year, but by far the strangest one took place during their trip to the space station. From May 14th to May 18th, 1981, the two cosmonauts observed an unidentified spaceship. According to Kovalenok, quote, "I just made some gymnastic exercises when I saw in front of me through a portal an object which I could not explain. I saw this object and then something happened I could not explain, something impossible according to the laws of physics." End quote. When first observed, the UFO he saw was over a half a mile from the Salyut-6 station, but eventually it closed with the space station to a distance of just 300 feet. Within the other ship, the cosmonauts saw something startling. They observed 3 brown-skinned beings with slanted, bright blue eyes. The aliens had straight noses and bushy eyebrows. Then their UFO grew even closer, and at a distance of 100 feet, the Soviet cosmonauts then thought that the creatures were mechanical or somehow robotic. None of the alien features changed. Instead, they remained emotionless, at least to these human observers. The alien craft was spherical, about 30 feet in diameter. 8 windows lined the hull. They also counted 16 strange, transparent, illuminated spheres arranged on the hull. The large windows, combined with the illumination, allowed the cosmonauts to see inside the spaceship. They observed normal-looking armchairs, walls, and equipment. Kovalenok and Savanik, according to their scientific protocol, videotaped everything. Reportedly, the Soviet Spaceflight Control Center refused the cosmonauts' request to initiate close contact. Instead, their interaction with the other craft was to be limited to the use of measuring devices, despite their feeling that the aliens wanted direct contact. Now, as they observed this alien ship, it moved around the Salyut-6 erratically. From time to time, it would vanish but then reappear. The ship's method of propulsion was not evident to the cosmonauts. Their ship showed no visible rocket exhaust pipes. At a distance, it seemed to be metallic, but it had no visible doors. Also, there were no features that they expected of an earthly-made craft. There were no solar panels, no antenna, or marks or writing on the outside to identify it. The cosmonauts used powerful binoculars for their observations in addition to their video camera. When the alien ship was close to the Salyut-6, the aliens put a map up against the window to be visible to the cosmonauts. The cosmonauts recognized the Earth's solar system, but they could not identify the stars on the map. In an attempt to communicate, the cosmonauts tried using Morse code with a light, communicating in both Russian and English. The aliens didn't react. Then the Soviets tried showing mathematical symbols through the portholes. In return, the aliens also showed symbols that the cosmonauts interpreted as formulas. The final film that the cosmonauts took reportedly showed the aliens leaving their spaceship without protective suits and seemingly had no breathing apparatuses. They floated next to their craft and later floated further away. Now, this is a fascinating story and recounted in some more detail in Paul Stonehill's book, The Soviet UFO Files. Georgie Bergovnoy returns to this story because he met with the cosmonauts after their 74-day mission to the Salyut-6 station and documented a full report about their observations. Reportedly, he presented the findings to a group of 200 Communist Party leaders, scientists, and members of Pavel Pavlovich's UFO Study Commission. But from there, the tale goes cold. But listen to one more of his quotes from the story. He said, quote, "It followed us for half of our orbit. We observed it on the light side, and when we switched to the shadow side, it completely disappeared. It was an engineering structure made of some kind of metal, about 40 meters long, with internal housings. The object was narrow in one place and wider in another, and it had small portholes. In some places, there were protrusions that looked like small wings. The object was very close to us. We took a picture of him, and our pictures showed that he was at a distance of 23 to 28 meters. End quote. As it was Kovalnikovic's testimony that has been documented, and I tried to verify this statement, but that too is difficult to track down. Regarding the conference, there are a few references online that point to a specific date that the conference was held on, that being June 18th, 1981. Now, on the surface, that date would work as their mission ended on May 25th, about 3 weeks prior to this purported conference. But as you might expect, any of this documentation is not available for verification. So whether that was specific to the Soviet suppression of anything that might harm their system, or a general fear of real UFO encounters leaking out, or simply the fact that the events didn't occur, we simply don't know. Still, Kovalnikov's testimony resonates as something that is plausible. Thank you for watching this episode of My Dark Path. What do you think of this story of this UFO sighting from the Salyut-6 space station? Have you heard about it before, and where did you read about it? Please comment below, and we'll see you soon in another episode.